Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is. Happy welcome to our next Fireside Chat in 2023, session 2, Wynand and Adrian from Qanta Services. And I hand over to my dear colleague Meenakshi, who will guide us through the session.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Nanette, for hosting this session. And as Nanette said, welcome to our second Fireside Chat session for MicroStation. This is a series of quick 30-minute sessions brought to you by Virtuosity, where we invite and chat with MicroStation users to know more about how they're using the software, what are their project challenges, how they overcome those, etc. And it's a great opportunity for the audience to connect with the MicroStation community as well. So please drop us a note in the comments section you see here and introduce yourself or ask a question or let us know your contact if you want us to contact you later. Moving on. And we are looking forward to an interactive session today. So the speakers will try to answer the questions either during the session or later if we run out of time. And the session is recorded. You can reach out to us for the link or keep an eye out on our YouTube channel. And please stay with us to know more about our next sessions. And now is a good time to introduce our guest speakers for today who are joining us from Philippines. They work with Qanta Services. We have with us Wynand. Wynand has more than 20 years of professional experience in electrical and electronic engineering field, and he's currently working as a resource development specialist with Consolidated Power Projects, that happens to be a subsidiary of Qanta Services. He delivers renewable and utility projects. And say hi to Adrian. Adrian is a mechanical engineer with over 14 years of experience in design and detailed engineering, and all the way he takes the projects all the way to construction supervision in the EPC industry. Currently, he holds a position as a project manager with Qantas Philippines and manages their local as well as international projects. He's also involved in developing new business opportunities for the company. And let me also introduce my colleagues who are joining us today. There's Sanchayan. He's a product success manager with Virtuosity. He is skilled in MicroStation, Open Buildings Designer, and Legion. He works very closely with the users to train them and support them during their project. Sanchayan is based out of India. And we have Junaidi joining us. Junaidi is a product sales engineer managing MicroStation and reality modeling software in Southeast Asia. And he works very closely with users as well to ensure their success. And there's me. I'm Meenakshi. I'm a product sales engineer as well. And I'm handling the sales of buildings and plant products in Southeast Asia. And Junaidi and I are both based out of Singapore. And you can reach out to us if you're looking for Southeast Asia queries. And we also have Azhar. He's a product sales engineer for design modeling and BIM solution. He's based out of Dubai and he's managing the EMEA region. Moving on to our agenda for today. So Wynand and Adrian, they've recently moved to MicroStation as the CAD tool for their project. And Junaidi has worked very closely with them to help them migrate to MicroStation. So over to you, Junaidi, for an insight into this migration and how the project has been set up and how will it be delivered.
Yep. Thanks,
Junaidi,
Meenakshi.
you're on mute, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Meenakshi. Welcome, Minat and Adrian. So before we are moving forward, firstly, I'd like to ask you, just want to ask you that since when do you know about this MicroStation and how did you get introduced to this MicroStation?
Hey, Junaidi, it's a good question. We've been using MicroStation for quite a few years now, maybe from the beginning.
Yes.
Yes, and typically driven by client requirements and also 3D/2D modeling, which we'll get to later. So that's kind of how we got to get to know MicroStation.
Okay. So, this MicroStation that you work with is due to the project requirement, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So, since after when you know this project requirement, do you work with any bandit personnel to help you out to make sure that this MicroStation that is best or suit and fit to your project requirement?
It was a client requirement, so we did not really have much of a choice to use it. So we had to go to MicroStation.
So someone from Bentley staff that are helping you out to make sure that this MicroStation is set up and work perfectly to your project requirement. Yeah?
Correct,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So, can you elaborate more on your project scope and your roles before we dive into the MicroStation features that we are going to talk about later?
Sure. We typically use MicroStation for 2D and 3D designs for our electrical side of the projects. So that's typically substations and renewable energy project.
Okay. Okay. So, if let's say that due to this all this project requirement, so maybe here are the main topics that we will cover today about your journey with the MicroStation for your project. Okay. So, I think firstly that we need to understand about your project is the CAT standard. Yeah. So, in order to align with the project setup with your team members, we need this CAT standard in order to set up before we start with the project. So, we need to create a seed file and populate that with a standard for your project. Okay. So, I think if you want, Sanchayan, can you elaborate more on what is that, are these seed files? Yeah. Over to you, Sanchayan.
Yeah, thanks, Junaidi. So, guys, seed file is essentially a blank MicroStation design file which has appropriate settings, and MicroStation seed files define the design plane that you will be working on, including the appropriate dimensions, units, as well as origin. So, people, whenever they start working on the project, they generally create a seed file to replicate all of the data and populate information within it. I'll just quickly show that how easy it is. It's not very difficult. It's very easy to create a seed file. To create a seed file, you have to open MicroStation Connect. You have to come to the basic workspace workset format, and first you have to go to this option which is called no workspace. When you go to no workspace, it generally, as I mentioned, the seed file does not contain any setting apart from the appropriate setting of the project itself. So we associate all data apart from it. So when you create a new file, you will see that it will ask you for a location where you want to save the seed file, and based on this, you are able to create a seed file of your own over here. The only requirement that you need to provide over here is a basic seed file template, which will help you to create the new seed file for your project. Now, also these seed files you can get directly from the default location inside MicroStation. So you do not have to worry about where will you get all these templates from. Whenever you install MicroStation, you will get a set of default templates readily available for you to create your seed files from there. So as it can take much more time, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to show you the entire thing of how you are creating your seed file, but I have created some seed files of my own, and I'll browse and I'll show them to you that where they are located. So they are located inside my worksets, and this is the seed files that I have created. One is a 2D, one is a 3D, and both are following the metric design units of MicroStation. So I'm going to just open one of the seed files to show you how and where are you populating all of the information within it. So I'm just going to open one seed file, and as it was not associated with any of the workspace was set, so I'm opening it right now. And what I'm doing is I'm going to open here the tab called Explorer. And once I open Explorer, you will see a tab open on your left hand side, and you can see in the resources tab, all of my project information are provided. So you can see my text styles, my levels, even my dimension styles, element templates, as well as item type libraries are all present within over here. So in this way, you populate all of your project information within a seed file itself. Over to you, Junaidi.
Oh, did we lose Junaidi?
Yeah, I believe so. Okay, Meenakshi, you can take it forward from here.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second. Just give me a second, please. I'm just trying to see what happened there. Okay. So I believe the most important for your needs is a workspace migration from V8i to Connect Edition due to the main contractor, I believe, is still on V8i version of MicroStation. And due to this, we have set up this MicroStation Connect Edition to your end. Sanchayan, can you elaborate more on this? And then later, maybe Adrian Van, and maybe I can have your feedback on this migration.
Yeah, so thanks, Meenakshi. So migration is very, very easy to do. So we have kept migration very, very simple for all of our users who were previously working on VATI projects and are now working on the Connect Edition application. So it is not very difficult. You have an application, you have a tool over here, which is known as Configuration Assistant. Once you click on it, you will see a pop-up window open up, and over here, it will ask you to migrate all of your VATI data into Connect Edition. So migration is not very difficult. It's very, very easy. You can migrate by choosing your VATI workspace. You can select your VATI users, and you can then specify a particular destination where you want to migrate your VATI projects to inside Connect Edition, and it will do the rest for you. So there is no requirement where you cannot actually migrate your projects directly to Connect Edition. So migration is very, very easy, and migration takes a bit more time than what we can show right now. So I'll keep that for a later date when we can discuss this together. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So was it very smooth for you? I just want to hear from Qanta Services. Was it smooth for you? What were your challenges during this migration?
Yeah, for some time it's kind of challenging, but when United helps us, it actually flows well up until now. So we're using the workspace really good. And how about you, Wayne?
Yes, I think the struggle bit was just to figure out the workspace setup. Once that was done, it was pretty easy. So we've deployed that up on with 15 workstations at the moment. So there's no issue. It works really well.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Maybe sometime, Sanchayan, when we have another session, we can dive deeper into this. So I
Yes,
also believe
yes.
your project scope includes 2D and 3D electrical design, where it involves integrating models from manufacturers. And is that right, Banan? And can you tell us more about how you're working with the manufacturers?
Sure. Yes, that's correct. We typically do a 2D design of the layout, and then once that's approved, we incorporate all the models from the manufacturers, and we come up with a 3D model for the representation of the substation, which is used for maintenance and just modeling and just do certain electrical calculations with. So that's typically how we go about switching between the two and using the models.
Okay. And Sanchayan, can you elaborate more on the integrating of the models since you're working with
Yes,
some
yes, yes,
users?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So what I have done is I have actually created DGN file over here to show the 2D and 3D modeling aspects of any type of design. So be it electrical, mechanical, anything else you can actually model. So I'm just going to open this particular file. And now for the purpose of this demonstration, what I have done is I have already have a SLD drawing, a single line diagram drawing of a substation. What I can do is I can quickly go and attach the same over here. So I'm going to open this, and you can see I'm using the reference dialog box for working over here. And what I can do is I can go inside my top view and I can actually close out all the other views over here. So as Wynette mentioned, you generally work both in 2D and 3D. So in 2D you get drawings like this, and then you can convert it to 3D. So based on that, what you can do is you can absolutely take any particular drawing that you receive from your contractors or vendors. You can take it directly inside MicroStation. You can work with it. You can work alongside the design elements that you get. And within the MicroStation, you have 2D and 3D capability to actually design it and take it up in a much more further way. So over in the workflow, you can see these are all of the workflows that are available within MicroStation. Inside drawing, you get all the 2D drawing tools within MicroStation. And when you go for modeling, you get all the 3D modeling information within MicroStation as well. So taking information directly from your contractors and vendors can be very, very helpful for you, where you can take information from them and use the 2D and 3D capabilities within MicroStation and go along with the project requirement that you have.
Okay, that's great. And moving on to the next topic that we had in mind. So this is again for Qanta Services. I believe Bentley staff has been sharing MicroStation tips and tricks with your team. And I just wanted to hear from you, what are the tips and tricks that you learned maybe in this round, working with Junaidi, and anything that really helped you increase your productivity recently? Any tip and trick you just want to share with us, and then maybe Sanchayan could demonstrate that.
Yeah. Junaidi gave us some sort of standards that it is applicable to our projects. So that's why we've had an increase with the producing the drawings as well. So do you have any additions for that one for the truth?
Or any
I
of
think
your
some
personal tips and tricks, your shortcuts that you use with
shortcuts.
MicroStation,
Um, maybe the combinations of champers and the extensions. Maybe that's a great tools for us because we definitely have for us for the single line diagrams for the drafters it makes a lot of difference.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so a couple of tip and tricks that I can share with you is, one of the most important aspect is AccuDraw. So whenever you are working in MicroStation, AccuDraw is very, very helpful to you whenever you are designing or modeling anything in 2D or 3D, because with the help of AccuDraw, you get to choose and select proper dimensions and where you want to place it. Say, for example, I want to draw a particular line. So you can see within AccuDraw, you will get these options of toggling on your XY direction. So say, for example, I want to take something and put in a direction of 2000 millimeters. So you can see I can fix those points at a particular interval and then can take it forward to a different direction. So AccuDraw will actually help you out a lot whenever you are working in 2D as well as in 3D. Another tip and trick that I would like to tell you is that whenever you are working both in 2D and 3D, what you can do is you should select a 3D design seed file, because what that will do is that 3D design seed file also has the capability of working with 2D files as well. So rather than creating just a 2D design file, you can go ahead with a 3D design file and you can work on 2D as well as on 3D on the same file itself. So you do not have to create a separate file from that as well. So these are a couple of tips and tricks I can tell you. And as you mentioned, when you go out like on different type of Boolean tools like chamfering, creating a shell, tapering face of a particular feature is also helpful for you whenever you're working with this at a much larger scale. So yes, those things do come in handy when you're working on a 3D model quite efficiently.
Okay. And I'm just wondering, does Qanta Services, did you work with the seed files, 2D or 3D? Did you work with any seed files?
We have not worked with seed files. We
Okay.
typically just work with workspaces.
Okay. Okay. All right. Maybe that's a discussion we can have offline later with Junaidi as well. And
Yes.
so moving on, like one of the main advantages of MicroStation is definitely the interoperability to your project. So one is working with other CAD file formats, and of course IFC as well. So, and federated approach. So what has your experience been with interoperability within MicroStation when you're using MicroStation and exporting to other file formats? uh, Van and Adrian.
Yeah, so we have done a project where we've exported or converted a MicroStation to AutoCAD. We had no issues with that. It was pretty easy to do. We've not gone the other way yet, but
Okay.
doing it from MicroStation, that was no issue at all.
Okay. And those are is that the most common file format that you use? AutoCAD would be DWG, or do you use
Yes.
any other IFC or anything else?
No, we typically just use DWG
DWG, yeah.
files.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's good to know. And Sunshine, do you want to show us something?
Yes,
Show us how
yes,
to
yes.
work with the CAD formats. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, guys, MicroStation has a lot of capabilities in interoperating with different type of file types. You mentioned about the DWG files; it is very much applicable. So if I go to File, go to my Backstage, you can see if I go into Import Type, you can see the different type of import options that you get is incomparable to any other application that is there on the market. So you can see for common file types, you get DWG, DGN, cell libraries, DGNlib, sheets, iModels, shape files, and more. Even for Exchange file types that you were speaking of, you can actually work with different type of file types as well, like DXF, FBX, IGES, IFC, RFA. So all of these type of file types can be used as well. The same goes for 3D modeling file types as well, where you can actually work with 3ds Max files, SketchUp files, 3DM files, Parasolids, OBJ, and other file formats. So MicroStation has a lot of capabilities in where you can actually work with different type of file types to actually help further your cause. The same is happening for export file types as well. So you can see for export file types, you can export into 2D, DWG, various other file formats. Even for Exchange type, you can make PDFs, DXFs, FBX, IGS, other step file formats as well. So MicroStation gives you a lot of capability in terms of interoperability. You can actually work with many different type of files, 2D or 3D, as well as you can export to many different type of file types as well.
Okay, that's good. What about federated approach? Could you just tell the audience more about federated
Yes.
approach? Yeah.
So MicroStation works on what we call a federated approach. It gives you many type of benefits. One of the biggest benefit that you have is that you take files as a reference. So you are not directly importing any file within MicroStation, but you are taking it in form of a reference. The file type that I have opened right now. So this is one of my references that I have taken across over here. So you can see this is a DWG file that I have taken of an SLD drawing, and I have referenced it in. Now, one of the major advantage is that I will not be able to edit or change any of any of the file that I have referenced in until and unless I merge it inside the file itself. But another advantage it gives me is that it's not actually shooting up the size of my file to a higher extent. So you will see whenever you are working with different type of file types, you will see when you're importing it and then you're trying to take cues from that as reference to actually work with it, it shoots up the file size to a much larger space. And what happens, the risk of the file getting corrupt becomes much more, the chances gets much more higher. So by using the federated approach, you can reference in multiple files of different types, and you can actually merge them together into one master file which will have all data in it. So working with reference is something you can work with in a much more wider way. And not only with references, you can reference in different type of files, but you can also work with different type of raster managers. If you want to work with images, you can do that. You can take into account reality meshes, point clouds as well. So federated approach gives you a huge amount of flexibility when you're working with multiple file types that you were actually talking about, that you get files from vendors, contractors, and so forth.
Okay, that's good to know.
Quick question.
Yes.
Question from my side to Wynand and Adrian. Do you have to deal with suppliers and design files or documents that you get from suppliers very often?
Sometimes we do, but that will be as a DWG or in a format that we can just import into the MicroStation package. So it's typically transformer 3D models that we use. So yeah, that's what we typically do.
Okay. Did you already think about setting up design restrictions or delivery restrictions? What your suppliers should bring you at the minimum, at least?
Yes, that is used for that kind of clearance checking and also constructability of the plant, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So moving on, I believe one of the advantages in MicroStation is also the batch file creation and conversion. And I'm curious if Qanta Services has used this before, the batch file creation and conversion. Have you managed to take a look at that?
Not yet.
No, I don't think that we've used that feature yet, Manishki.
Okay. Sanchan, do you want to just quickly demonstrate that and maybe
Yes, absolutely. So I have created something over here to actually show you how batch file conversion and processing works. So say for example, when you are working with multiple files and you have generated multiple files over here, so and you want to convert them into one particular file type. So say for example, I have drawn a very simple thing. I have created a square rectangle at one side of my 2D file that I have created. Now say for example, I want to make it I want to make it a fit view, and I would like it to be in the center of my screen, and I would like to also do some utility runs, so that not a lot of excess layers are being used. So when you're working with say 100 of files, it becomes difficult for you as people who are working on a project to open every single file and convert them in that particular file format, because the client defines what type of conversion that they require. So what you can do is you can run batch processing. You can actually get them from here itself, where by using the different tools, you can actually convert files on directories in any form of MicroStation DGN file format or any other supported file format. Or you can go with batch processes, where you can run a script on individual files and directories. So what I have done is I have created a script over here, which I would like to show you. So I'm going to go to the location, and I'm going to go to my standards, where in the data I have created a script. So this script is very simple. I'm just going to show you. So this is a notepad script that I have created for batch processes. So what I have done is I'm just doing a fit all, and then I'm going to do a select view, and I'm going to compress the design, and my file design will be set. So to do batch conversion, it's very easy. What I have to do is I have to go for batch processes. You will see a batch process dialog box will come up. It will ask me to select the data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to MicroStation Connect. I'm going to select the work set and the script that I have made. So in the data, I am opening this up, and this is open over here. If you want, I can edit the same inside this as well. It's not a problem at all. And then what I can do is, as I have already worked on the file itself, so the file itself is also saved. And then what I can do is I can just save the batch processes, and once I run the batch processes, it will save it in a particular file format in one go. So what you are getting is you are actually saving a lot of time whenever you're converting all of these files in one go, because all of the files then you would had to open it up and then save and compress and then fit it in a proper view altogether. So this is a good way in which you can convert multiple files in one go, rather than spending hours and hours of time.
Okay. We're just going to be a little mindful of the time. We have 3 minutes to go. So I want to also hear from Qanta Services. Like, have you reached this stage in your project where you're already preparing your deliverables? Is it and how do you prepare for the final deliverable submissions in the DGN file format?
So yes, we have this, quite a few design phases. So one of our big projects is at 80% design. So we have done quite a few drawings for that. So we typically just do one at a time. So this batch file conversion could be quite a good way for us to save a lot of time.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. And Sanchan, do you want to very quickly talk about the final
Yeah,
deliverable submissions in DGN
yeah,
format?
sure.
Yeah, we're running really short of time. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so you can already see the file that I was working on. So what I have done is I have created a sheet view over here, and what you can do is by creating different type of model within the sheet, you can actually process your drawing production in a much more simple way. You can go to your references. I will just quickly attach one of our standard seed file for a border. I'll just reference it in, and you can see that it will work perfectly over here. So you can see a complete element has been placed over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my model, and the model that I already have, the SLD drawing I have already have, I can just drag it and drop it over here, and it will be attached as a reference altogether. So just remember that once it is attached as a reference, I can go to my reference file and I can choose the proper scale of my reference, because it has come into 1:1 scale. Once I do a proper scale, you can see the file is properly set in this particular part, and what I can do is I can move the reference to suit it inside my file setting. Now what you can do after you have provided all of the details over here, you can go for different type of submissions. So what you can do is you can go for print, you can print to PDF, you can do a print to plot, and what you can do is also you can save this file as a DGN file itself. So typically for a project, you require three types of submission. One is a soft submission of DGN files that you can provide in this way. With only sheets, you can print to PDF, where you can print different type of PDF files and submit a PDF file of whatever you have made. And the final one is you're plotting it and you are submitting hard copies. So all of these three are part of deliverables that you do whenever you are submitting a project.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Before we take, we'll also take some questions from our other colleagues, and if there are any questions in the LinkedIn comments. Before that, let me just show a few resources and stuff for Nanette. Are you sharing my screen? Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So moving on to the next slide. By the way, thank you, Sunshine. Thanks a lot. Sorry that Junaidi was not able to join us for this, but thank you, Adrian, and thank you, Vanan, for your thoughts about these questions. And that was definitely very encouraging. And Nanette, sorry. So over to Azhar. Azhar just wants to talk about MicroStation as the data integrator. And Azhar, over to you.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Unfortunately, we don't have too much of time to talk this in detail, but I'll just give a quick overview. So these days, if you know that construction project has data coming in from various sources, it can include the data from a BIM software where people have used certain BIM guidelines to design a project, or a basic 3D CAD drawing, spreadsheets. I mean, you can even have your scheduling programs. So, I mean, the actual requirement is of a data integrator. A powerful data integration tool just not only provide you a central system for data storage and management, but it also allows you to seamlessly connect that data to the CAD and BIM tools being used. So therefore, data integration can be the most effective tool that can be used in the construction sector to address these challenges. So what happens is it will enable you a fully data-driven decision, making the process throughout the lifecycle of project across like different disciplines. I mean, if you just consider an architect who's just designing the building, right from plumbers, landscape architects, or any designer of any specific field, if you see, they can actually take a data-driven decision instead of just assuming and making the work. So which will basically improve the outcome for the entire team. So MicroStation is actually a great tool integrating all the CAD and BIM data due to its powerful capabilities and collaboration features. There's a link in the sheet. We can share it with you later on. You can have a discussion, the detail, but MicroStation actually supports more than 70 file formats. So which it can be from your GIS data, cloud, point clouds, and even the other CAD platforms like DWG or the BricsCAD and other. So apart from this, there's also dynamic detection of reference file. Some title block integration are automatically synchronized with MicroStation. So you can even access the CAD files from mobiles. If you see, you don't need a native application in order to view a MicroStation file. The project files are basically the common data environment of Bentley's project files, and they have a check-in and check-out control with MicroStation. So these were some of the basic capabilities of MicroStation, which proves it as a great data integrated tool. We'll have another session where we'll discuss more in detail and go further.
Yeah.
But the undeniable fact of such system technically includes saving time and resources. And that is why you need to have a data integrated tool in your workflows to basically help you save time and make more data-driven approaches. So I think that's it from my side. Maybe we can discuss further later on this.
Yeah, sure. So please look through the comments section, and we've Azhar has posted a few of these links that could be handy. Like we have a Bentley, of course, the website and where MicroStation product data sheet can be downloaded, etc. We have this QR code that you can download for a very customized demo. It walks you through, whatever exactly you're looking for, because MicroStation is used in so many different fields. And then we have our Twitter account. If you want to join a community of Bentley users, it always helps to have a community of users sharing your tips and tricks and asking similar questions. So that's that. And then we have an onboarding and adoption page, which is not just for beginners but also for intermediate users. So there is a link for that as well in the comments section. Please look through that; it could be helpful for you. And we have our YouTube channel, of course. That's how the playlists are organized as per discipline and according to what comes up. What is the latest video that we've added to that. So that could be quite helpful in your learning journey, and even for I think intermediate and advanced users like Adrian and Wynand. I think it will be useful, and if there is some topic missing there, we are very happy to address those advanced topics of how to use certain features of MicroStation. So do let us know if you want to see something special in that. Those are our email IDs for all the sales colleagues. If you have any queries for Southeast Asia or Asia in general, you can reach out to Junaidi and me. And for the Europe, Middle East, and Africa, please reach out to Azhar. We also have, of course, we have our LinkedIn profiles that you can reach us through. And moving on, just because we have a guest coming from Philippines, and we are not just passionate about our software, we are also very passionate about food. That's what connects us all together. So we have a special recipe of the month, chicken lomi from Philippines. It's a Filipino chicken noodle soup, and it just looked so good, so we decided to put this
Yeah.
together. So if you have time, please look through this, and do join us for our next fireside chat session 3. And before I end, I just want to hear something from Adrian and Wynand. What are your final thoughts on using MicroStation, and where do you want to head? From, I know you're using it as a CAD tool. How do you want to move forward? Is BIM on the cards for you? Is digital twins on the card for you? Yeah. Any closing words from you?
Um, for my side, for the Qanta Philippines, it's a great opportunity for us to, explore this kind of software, and I'm looking forward to explore things much greater that the ones that you've said, tip and tricks, and then somewhat help our doctors as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah.
Yep, and from our side, same as Adrian, but I think if we can make things a bit quicker and more efficient, which just a few topics we touched on today, it shows us that capability is there. So that's something I would like to explore more, just to do things better. I think there's a lot for us to learn to do the magnitude of work in a shorter time.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for
Yeah.
letting us know your thoughts as well. Patient here.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Sanchayan. Thank you, Nanette. Thank you, everyone.
Maybe
Special
one
thanks to
last
Adrian and Wynand for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Last comment from my side. Maybe it's worth coming in
Yes,
on
Nanette.
this virtual fire again.
Nanette,
And let's say
it's not very clear.
it's not clear. Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's a good idea to come back in on this virtual fire in half a year again to see what progress you made, and then we can maybe we find another nice recipe and another interesting topics that we can talk about, because I think if it seems you're at the beginning of this journey towards MicroStation, and I think we all can benefit hearing from you in, let's say, 6 months how far you've come.
Yep.
Okay.
And
think
thank
that's
you
a
all
great
from my side. Then I would
Thank
end the broadcast right now if this is all. We don't have comments or questions we should answer. Please feel free to reach out to all of us, and we will answer all questions that appear later. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Have a
Thank you,
nice day.
everyone.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Thank you, everyone.
You too. You too.